Okay, Evan, hit it.
1, 2, 3, and.
Ladies and gentlemen, your guest of honor, Mr. Aldridge.
Give it up for Mr. Clay. Mr. Clay Gaiser on piano. Clay. Alicia R. Trombone. Alicia. follow. Dan?
Just wow. Oh my goodness. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the big show. Happy you're here with us tonight to celebrate Al Aldridge. It was pretty cool. I threw the bat signal up in the air and everybody responded. You guys all just came back and emailed me and phone calls and conversations with the band and getting everybody. I mentioned this last night at our rehearsal. What you're going to see tonight as we work our way through a couple of charts and a couple of sets of music is 6 decades worth of musicians. We have musicians that graduated in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, the teens, and we have some students that are actually active in high school right now with us tonight in the band. I mention that because it's important, because whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, or whether you're this or whether you're that, or green, blue, yellow, green, it doesn't matter. Music brings us all together, and Al, you were in the middle of all of that, bringing us all together. Thank you. In my conversations with a lot of the musicians and a lot of my friends in the audience tonight, there were laughs, there were some tears, there were some motivational moments that brought goosebumps. There were stories that brought goosebumps on top of goosebumps. I think that's a goosebump mosh pit. I'm not entirely sure. But it was just a wild process to go through and have these conversations. In it, I learned something very valuable. I thought that Eric Sawyer had his version of what Al meant to him, and that my version of what Al meant to me was better and bigger than anybody's version meant to them. And what I found out, I was wrong. We all have our versions of what Al means to us and the deep level that he impacted our lives. And in that process, for me, it was just eye-opening of how many lives you've touched. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. So that really is the essence. If you get right down to it, I've been asked by so many people, why are we doing this in terms of, like, yes, what a great opportunity to celebrate Al, but what motivated you to want to make this thing happen? And it really was just that. Everybody wants to celebrate somebody who has impacted them. And for me, putting somebody who is on my personal Mount Rushmore of influencers, mentors, coaches, and being able to say thank you in the right kind of a way, that's what this is all about. So we all have those people. If you've got somebody else in your life other than Al that meant a great deal to you and you haven't taken the time to reach out to them and tell them thanks, that's my challenge to you. Find that person, reach out to them and tell them thanks. You'll feel good doing it. We were having a conversation last night. Several of us went to beaches afterwards and grabbed some beverages, and we were talking about how Al was the master motivator. He always knew what buttons to push. He knew how to get the most out of me. He knew how to get the most out of Jason Ard. He knew how to get the most out of Justin Owsley. He knew how to do that. He was a master. He'd always get the right buttons pushed. And so there's a question I've been dying to ask. Jeannie, do you ever win at cribbage in the house? You do? Okay. I'm impressed. You are an equal. I like that. All right. So how did we all end up in Gaiser Hall together on Sunday, December 11th, 2022? Short answer is because 50 years ago in 1972, Battleground High School's Newt Keir hired Al Aldridge to teach kids how to play in tune, how to carry a tune, how to differentiate between sharp or flat, how not to rush or to drag, the difference between 3/4 or 4/4. You know, the stuff that most directors do, the common stuff, the basics. Just be the music director, collect a check. Do a Christmas concert, let mom and dad come to the front of the stage, snap a picture. Do the winter concert, in the spring, play the graduation, pomp and circumstance, take the summer off, ta-da. The problem was, Battleground didn't realize that Al doesn't play that kind of a game that way. That won't work for him. That will not work for him. So soon the Battleground program was doing things that had never been done before. We'll take a little stroll down memory lane a little later with a special guest who's going to walk us through some of the history of how Al came to be at Prairie High School and Battleground High Schools. But I do want to say one quick side note, interestingly, for those of you that remember and know Don Freeman, Don and Al were both hired at the same time in 1972. Between them, 8 state championships at Prairie High School. Both of them Hall of Fame coaches in multiple sports, in multiple areas. Don sends his love. He's stuck in Blaine, Washington. You'll hear from him in a little bit, I promise. All right, so let's move on and get to some fun stuff. You quickly learn when you work with Al that if you want something, you've got to go and earn it. Nobody's going to just give it to you. Bleeding for your goal is not only okay, it's encouraged. We've got some girls basketball players in here tonight too, Al, so the bleeding part we get. Any band members bleed ever? Well, okay, fair question. Okay.
She's a basketball player too.
That's true. So tonight we slow down a little bit to celebrate and thank you. We've got some music prepared for you by special guests, and we'll meet them in just a second. We've got an audience full of former students, coworkers, friends, and one angry mom who wants to talk to you about why you subbed her daughter out of a game against Fort when you were up 57 back in 1983. I'm going to let you deal with her. All right, some important housekeeping. On the screens, you see our sponsor slides. And what I have to do is take a second because it is imperative. Tonight would not happen if it were not for some incredible generosity in the community. And what's interesting is when I asked and approached several different businesses to talk about sponsoring the event, it's a very unique event. For one, we couldn't advertise it in advance. It was a surprise. Can't really do that, right? So there wasn't going to be a lot of return on your investment as an investor or a business throwing some money at this. So it was a very challenging and interesting conversation. But the partners that did step up, they saw what we were trying to do. Celebrate an educator in our community that made a massive difference over decades worth of hard work. So I simply ask you to do 2 things. First, if you can, visit any of these businesses that are on the screen for us at any point in time. Move your banking to Columbia Credit Union, by the way. You don't need to be anywhere else. We'll just say that right now. Okay, so we get that out of the way. Avec, is Russ Garrow? I didn't see Russ. I didn't see him. So Russ Garrow, great community guy. Melissa Brewer, where's Melissa? She's back here. She's on crutches, knee surgery, and she's gritting it out. So Melissa, thank you. Melissa Brewer Photography, and so action shots, senior pictures, all kinds of fun stuff. We've got Cindy Holloway, Waste Connections, our friend there, and then the last one I can't see because I'm blocked from it is Orion Industries, the grants. You know the grants, of course. So thank you to our sponsors, and in addition to that, we had a number of anonymous donors who just wanted to simply give out of the generosity of their hearts. And so those donors, along with these donors, made all the difference. So thank you for that. One round of applause, please. Big round of applause. Couple more quick thank yous. I want to give a big thanks to Alan Tucker, who's part of the band tonight. And Alan was instrumental, pun intended, for getting all of the charts scanned and emailed out to musicians that we have scattered all over the country. And so he created the way to get all of the charts to everybody so they could rehearse. So Alan, thank you. Yep. Big shout out to my beautiful wife Sarah down here, who never says why are we doing whatever we're doing? She just says yes, let's do it. You know the Ben Affleck movie when he says to his brother in the movie, he says, "I need to ask you to help me with something. We're going to need to hurt some people. We might go to jail. We might get arrested, and it's illegal." And his brother looks at him and goes, "Whose car we taking?" That's Sarah. She's always my ride or die no matter what. Sarah, thank you, babe. And my mom, who's sitting right here in the front. My mom, 8 months ago, when I first told her about this idea to do this for Al, you literally started crying in the moment because of what Al has meant to the family. And so you bust out into tears. And from that point forward, there wasn't practically a day that went by that you didn't ask me what you could do to help or how you could help out or what could happen. So thank you for that. Big shout out to our friends from Beaches. Shout out to Mark, just had knee replacement surgery. If you know Mark Mathias, reach out to him. He's doing well. But thanks to Mark and Allie at Beaches for giving us a lot of help with the food tonight. You'll have a chance here to grab more food if you want in a few minutes. So thanks to them. Thanks to Brad Wager and his team from Versa Events for all of the audio and video. And as a side note to that, they are responsible for providing the link that you will be able to access from tonight forward, and that will be the link that you'll be able to come back and watch this, so you can come back and watch when Eric, the camera's not on me. I was going to be silly. But anyways, you can come back and watch this and have a good time. So thanks, Brad, to you and your team. You guys are always incredible. Okay, almost time for some tunes. Before we get to the tunes, we need the band. We need to introduce... Do the band introductions, right? I think it's about time. Band, time for introductions. Let's do this. Al, that's a throwback to Dr. Mowad at Central, right? I think Dr. Mowad used to do that. Yep. All right. In all seriousness, it is time to meet the band. So let's do some fun stuff. Audience participation. So I'm going to ask you to raise your hand if you can make the same claim that I'm going to ask you. So this will be super simple. If you can, just raise your hand. Okay. So raise your hand if you've ever toured with Michael Bolton. Oh, Alicia. Alicia, you toured with Michael Bolton. That's awesome. That's pretty cool. Okay, let's go on. Raise your hand if you've ever shared the stage with Dizzy Gillespie. Lynn Keir, couple back here. Nice. All right, I think there's only going to be one of these. Raise your hand if you're the director of an entire school of music at a major university. Oh, Vanessa. We might have more than one of these. This will be interesting. Raise your hand if you've ever broken the sound barrier piloting an Air Force jet over enemy territory. In real life, not video games. Where's Matt Thomas? There he is, Matt Thomas. Raise your hand if you've ever played for several different presidents of the United States of America. And Michael Vance back there as well. Okay, this will be fun. I should skip this one. This might get me in trouble. Raise your hand if you've ever been detained by the Holland police for illegally selling concert tickets at the largest jazz festival in the world while touring Europe with your high school jazz band, nearly causing an international incident. More on that story later, I promise. Last one, and I mean no disrespect to any of the ones that we've had so far, but in my humble opinion, this one just carries cool to an entirely different level. Raise your hand if you played lead trumpet in one of Frank Sinatra's bands. Yeah, baby. Yes, all right, Mr. Tom DeLibrio. All right, let's rip through these introductions. I'm going to get through these as quick as I can and just give everybody a chance to connect with the audience and for Al to know who's playing for him tonight. Right here, Jason Ard. Jason was a Prairie High School grad, class of 98. After graduation, went on a mission trip for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Sapporo, Japan. After his mission, graduated from BYU, and while at BYU, played 2 years in the jazz lab band on Barry and lead tenor. Jason's been married since 2007 to wife Ashley. They live in Spanish Fork, Utah, have 4 girls, Lily, Grace, Clara, and Molly. They all sound cute. Biggest moment in music, playing in tonight's alumni jazz band for Al, and playing Barry sax in the Beacocks High School Summer All-Star Band with his sister, Alicia. Yes. Ham Howard. Ham, will you raise your hand? Yep, Don Ham Howard, class of Battleground High School, 75. His sophomore year was Al's first year teaching. Ham and his wife, Pam. Do you just go by Ham and Pam? Okay. They've been married for 25 years and live on Harstein Island, north of Olympia. His most memorable moment was playing as an extra with the Oregon Symphony, and just being able to sit in with top-notch orchestra and hear all the sounds live was so cool. And fun fact about Ham, he was Michael Vance's first saxophone teacher. Yeah. Next up, we've got Vanessa Seelert. She was Hasbrook back in high school. Vanessa graduated in 91 from Prairie. After graduation, she studied music at the University of Idaho, Baylor University, and the University of Illinois. She's married to Vern Seelert, a trumpet player who was going to join us tonight, if not for winter graduation ceremonies at the University of Idaho, where he teaches and where they both met. They have a 12-year-old son, Beck, and live in Moscow, Idaho. And her biggest moment in music, I love your answer. It's something Al would totally say. It's, quote, every moment has been important to me. I love to teach. Just a great. Next up, we've got Alan Tucker. Alan's over this way. He's waving his hands at us over from there. After high school, Alan attended Mount Hood Community College, Clark College in Central Washington. Graduated from Central in 86 with a music ed degree, taught for 3 years. Started playing with various big bands around the Portland, Vancouver area in about 2005. Alan's married with 2 daughters and lives in Gresham. Biggest moment in music, subbing for Al Aldridge at PHS. And also, this was a fun one, when professional trumpet player Chris Bodie spilled an entire pitcher of beer all over you. Now, did he spill it on you on accident or throw it on you? Because that's a big, important difference. Accident. Let's go with that. Dan Savala. Dan, wave your hand, say hi. Dan played in Al's band 79 to 82. He and his wife Terry have been married for 31 years and live in Vancouver. They have 2 sons and a daughter with 2 granddaughters and a third on the way. Congratulations. After high school, he studied music at Central. Some of his best memories in music are all of those moments playing jazz festivals and concerts in Al's bands. Good times. TJ Bruning graduated from Prairie in 1996. Right up here, give a wave, TJ. Let everybody know, say hey. TJ played at Clark and received his AA, transferred to Wazoo, and played lead tenor in Greg Yazanitsky's band 1, minored in jazz studies, and majored in business admin. Both of TJ's sons are also musicians, which he says is his biggest accomplishment as a musician. It all started during his years playing in Al's band. His oldest son, Parker, plays lead tenor here at the Clark Jazz with the Clark Jazz Band. And his younger son, Blake, is a junior at Hawkinson and plays drums in the jazz band and will be joining us on a chart tonight. Yeah. Michael Vance in the back of the room. Michael, stand up and give a wave to everybody. Say hey. Graduated in '89. After high school, went on a mission and went to BYU, Indiana University. Took a world cruise. You played on a world cruise, to be more accurate. Then U.S. Army Band, Pershing's Own in D.C. Michael's married to Haley, and they've got 5 kiddos and live in Cedar City, Utah. His biggest moment in music, understated and humble, is Michael to a T. If you know Michael, he keeps things very understated. And he said, right now. This is his biggest moment in music right now. I just thought that was pretty cool. But like I mentioned a little bit ago, a couple other key details, aside from playing in front of 4 presidents. He also shared the stage with the Jimmy Dorsey Orchestra, the Gene Krupa Big Band, the Utah Symphony, and like I said, multiple presidents. Michael Vance. We'll move to the trombones. Alicia Ard. Alicia played in Al's bands for 4 years at Prairie, graduated in '96. From there, she went on to Brigham Young University and got her bachelor's and master's degrees in trombone performance. After college, Alicia moved to Los Angeles to participate in the Henry Mancini Institute and got to share the stage with well-known musicians such as Bobby McFerrin and Ray Barretto. She stayed in Los Angeles freelancing for 5 years, subbing in bands like Bill Holman, Claire Fisher, and touring with artists like Michael Bolton and Doc Severinsen. She then got married, had 4 kids, and moved west to Ventura County, but she still occasionally goes to LA to play, mostly in local salsa bands. Dancing later, anybody? Just saying. We got that going for us. Kirby Ferguson is up next. So, this is great. So the question was, what school did you play under Al, and what year did you graduate? And his answer was, I've never even met Al. So, Kirby, that's Al. Al, Kirby. Okay. So we got that going. Now, Kirby comes to us as another example of a child of a former student of Al's, Rondi Lee, who's sitting here in the middle. Rondi, give a wave. Kirby is Rondi's son. Rondi played with us and graduated in '89 from Prairie and played for Al, so there's another fun connection. The music just continues to bring us together. Kirby's biggest moment in music was winning his University of Idaho Soloist Award at the Lionel Hampton Jazz Festival, which happens to be, like I said, at the University of Idaho, which we mentioned Vanessa is the leader of. Just a weird twist. Mike Curtis. Now, Al, do you remember Mike Curtis? There's a good reason he didn't go to any schools at Utah. I just wanted to see if I could throw you for a loop, put you on the spot, have you go, oh yeah, I remember him. He never played for you. So Mike is, well, I will say this. One thing we figured out about Al is that he clearly knows how to piss off trombone players. It must be a knack, because that was the one instrument we had a hard time finding people that could. And then that was not only that was the hard part, but then this last week we lost 2 of our trombone players, Jeff Usatello and Clint Insinga, who both got sick, one with COVID and one with something else, the flu. So that was this week. So we called out some favors and we got some folks to join us. So Mike Curtis, Mariner High School 74, lives in Tigard, plays with Alan Tucker in the Pranksters, and you might notice on the front of the sax stands here, it says the Pranksters. That's Alan Tucker and Mike Curtis. They play in that band, so they brought those over. So we thought that'd be kind of fun. So Mike, thank you for sitting in. Okay. On piano tonight, Clay Giberson and Jason Ritchie. Up first, Clay graduated from Prairie in 1990. After school, studied music in college at the University of Miami and NYU. Lived on the East Coast for 10 years and then moved back west. Clay's married and has a daughter and lives in Portland. And his most memorable moment in music, playing and teaching over the years. And he also continues to play professionally in the greater Portland area. And he's one of the guys I follow on Instagram. I love watching your stuff, Clay, all the time. Good work. Thanks, buddy. Jason Ritchie, Prairie class of '88. After graduation, went to North Texas and studied jazz performance. Married to wife Alexa for 31 years. 3 boys, ages 25, 23, and 17, and they live in Vancouver. His biggest moment in music, quote, I was blessed to play for thousands of people every week at Crossroads Community Church with a band and a 100-person choir that I directed, and we did a ton of really fun gospel and funk music. I also had a chance to play with a lot of the great players in the Portland area in jazz combo situations. End quote, Jason Ritchie. We move back to our trumpets. Justin Owsley was Albrechtson in high school. Justin was at Prairie graduated in 99, moved back to Vancouver a few years ago to go to nursing school, and he currently works in the emergency department at Peace Health Hospital, and not married and no kids yet. All right, there you go. Justin Owsley. And not in my script, but a quick aside, because why not? When we were touring Clark about 4 or 5 months ago to figure out location, maybe 6 months ago, and I was walking through, there's a gentleman up, Mark is up in the window up here, Mark Owsley. Mark is Justin's dad. So when I was touring, and Mark was asking what the event was, and I said, oh, we got this surprise thing for Al Aldridge. And he goes, Al Aldridge? My son played trumpet for Al Aldridge. I said, get out. And he goes, no. I said, well, does he still play? And he goes, yeah. I go, well, we got to get him in this thing. So it was meant to be, Justin. There you go. Mike Shattuck. Mike graduated in Prairie in 83 after graduating high school, and with encouragement from Al, he went to Central Washington University and played. He's married and has 2 daughters. The oldest graduated from Prairie and played lead trumpet in jazz. Mike and his wife built a beautiful home in Battleground and lived there. And his biggest moment in music was sharing the stage with Dizzy Gillespie, as I mentioned earlier. Yep. Very cool. Tom DeLibrio. Tom played under Al at Battleground High School during Al's first 3 years of teaching. Graduated from Battleground High School in 1975, and after graduating went to Mount Hood Community College and then North Texas State. He's been playing in Vegas since 1979. Married with 2 daughters, and a couple of his biggest highlights over his music career were playing lead with Doc Severinsen for 12 years, and as previously mentioned, split the lead with Frank Sinatra for 2 years. Bob Johnson, freshman and sophomore years were 78 and 79 at Battleground High School when you played under Al, and then, of course, he moved over to Prairie. So then you graduated Battleground in 81. After graduating, Bob worked at Hewlett-Packard for 23 years, and during that time ran his own custom gunsmithing business on the side. This was the startup of a 25-year professional competition action shooting career that he's still active in today. Bob has 2 daughters, ages 24 and 22. Both are recent college grads, and both are talented multi-instrumental musicians and vocalists. Bob's lived in Washougal for the past 30 years, and when we talked about highlights, he said, seeing my youngest daughter, Emily, receive an Outstanding Jazz Musician Award at the 2018 Clark College Jazz Festival for her trumpet soloing. And wouldn't you know it, one of the judges that night, Al Aldridge. It all just keeps coming back together. One of our other guests tonight playing with us is Bob Fechner. And Bob, raise your hand and give a wave. Bob, thank you. Bob was a Fort Pierce Central High School graduate from Florida, class of 72, and was in the Air Force Falconers band, and also plays with a couple of these guys as well in some other bands. So thank you for joining us, Bob. On guitar, we've got Paul Johnson. Paul was at Battleground High School for his freshman year, then at Prairie, where he graduated in 82. After school, Paul went to Central Washington, majored in music ed with guitar as his instrument, graduated in 87 from Central, and got his master's in conducting from the American Band College. Paul met his wife while at Central. They were married in 87 and have 2 kids, both in their 20s, and lives in Auburn, Washington. His biggest moment in music was putting out a CD, 90% of which was original music. More of a process than a moment, but it was a big moment when they arrived at his door. That had to feel really good. Yep. On bass, Lauren Wogemuth. What school did you play at under Al? Well, Prairie, 1983 graduate, and his freshman year, he was the freshman when the school opened in 79. After high school, attended Central Washington, initially as a music ed major, played in the Jazz Choir 1 trio and the 2nd Jazz Band. Lauren has 2 incredible adult children and lives in Mount Vernon, Washington, and his biggest moment in music, a lot of his high school and college memories, but playing for 10,000 people at the 1986 World's Fair with his dad's bluegrass band is the ultimate highlight. A close second would be the standing ovation they received at the 1983, I'll see if you remember this, okay? So you guys received a standing ovation at the 1983 Rose Festival Jazz Contest. And then hearing all the boos when Prairie wasn't announced as the festival winner. You still remember that? Bitter? Yeah. Good answer. It's fair. He said probably. Also on bass tonight, Jason Crow. Yeah. Jason graduated from Prairie in '89. After school, attended Eastern Washington, where he studied bass with Roma. After school, Roma Valspar. After college, Jason joined the Air Force, where he was a group leader of the Falconairs 18-piece jazz band. He's featured on a number of recording projects, featuring the music of Sammy Nestico and the Grammy-recognized recording "Sharing the Freedom" and the Long Blue Line. A few of his most memorable moments in music include playing with Amy Grant, Faith Hill, Winona Judd, John Popper, Celine Dion, not to mention gracing the stages of Carnegie Hall and the Grand Ole Opry. Not bad, Jay. On drums tonight, we've got Matt Thomas, Prairie High School, graduate 1996. That says 96. That's not right, Matt. 91, yeah. Typo. I got to fire my assistant. I'm out of a job. Okay. After high school, Matt attended the U.S. Air Force Academy and spent 20 years in the service flying F-15 fighters and advanced unmanned platforms for Skunk Works. You guys have to immediately forget that I just read that out loud. Matt is married to his wife, Bronwyn, and they've got 3 kids, all girls, Larica, Meredith, and Carissa, and they live in Fort Worth, Texas. I think you get the award for traveling the farthest for the musicians, I think. There's no money or anything. It's just bragging rights. Not one single moment stands out for him, but rather a series of moments, playing in bands with his squadrons all across the United States and with the Air Force. Matt even had the honor of sitting in with traveling morale bands while base commander in Turkey as they rolled through for performances. As a pilot in the Air Force, Matt had, So, you know how they have, you got to have your call sign. Goose, Maverick, right? Iceman. What do you think Matt's was? Anybody want to venture a guess? Who was the drummer on the Muppets? Animal. That's his call sign, Animal. So that's what he goes by, Animal. Dan Coughlin, Prairie High graduate in 1984. After graduating, Dan played in the Clark College Jazz Band and Portland Rockabilly Band, Coupe de Ville. Played in jazz percussion programs at Central Washington University and has continued to perform and record through the decades. The most notable, Smilin' Jack and the Lost Highwaymen. Dan is married with 3 kiddos and lives in Seattle. Biggest moment in music for him, headlining Key West Fantasy Fest 2002. Sounds scandalous. Also on drums, Matt Golke, Prairie High School, class of 2003. That was Al's last year at Prairie. And after school, Matt went on to Clark College and was in the music program for 2 years, then completed his bachelor's in music performance on drums at Portland State. Matt's married and lives in Battleground. His biggest moment in music was performing his senior recital concert to complete his bachelor's degree. Fun fact, Matt and his wife are also the owners of Music World here in Vancouver and Battleground. Where is Matt? Oh, he's over here. There he is, right there. Matt. All right. Also joining us on stage tonight, I mentioned the high schoolers. So we're going to keep this real brief and just give them a big shout out. But on bass, we've got a senior from Battleground High School, Dallin Goodwin. Round of applause for Dallin. He's right here. On drums, a junior at Hawkinson High School, Blake Bruning. His dad, TJ, we mentioned earlier. On bass trombone, a sophomore from Battleground High School, Carter Stafford. And on sax, a freshman from Prairie High School. Remember the last name Welker? Al? Of course you do, Todd. That's Todd's son. It's Nathan Welker on sax. Todd played trombone for us and graduated in 1990. Our directors this evening are Mr. Evan Irwin, Mr. Corey McHenry, and Mr. Greg McKelvey. When we started putting this thing together, I think it was Mike Vance, maybe Jason Crow asked me, this is all fine and good, but who's going to direct us? And I was like, oh, I don't know. We know people. We can probably make this happen. And Evan and Greg and Corey, there's so many connections. Al still continues to sub from time to time, and one of the only high schools that he'll sub music for is Hawkinson High School, and that's Corey McHenry. So He loves that. Evan's been a part of Al's life for forever, and I'm going to let you say
Forever.
forever. And then I'm going to, one more thing, and then I'll shut up and we can get back to music. Greg McKelvey was the director at Wilson High School back in the day when some of us were playing, and we would go head to head with Wilson High School. They always had monster bands, and we had nothing but massive amount of respect for you, Greg, and your bands. And he's at Battleground High School now, and the Battleground High School jazz program's blowing up, and it's a wonder why. We're looking right at him. Greg McKelvey.
Thank you. Before we play our next tune, Al has been such an amazing guy in each of our lives. And if I were to look back and somebody were to ask me, you know, what was the greatest impact, I would have to say that the passion and the desire to excel, to do the very best in all you could, whether it was music, whether it was sports, whether it was anything in life. And he had that uncanny ability just to motivate people. And some of you are going, boy, isn't that the truth? Yes. But those are skills that just, they resonate in our hearts, in our minds, in our souls just forever. It's a lifetime thing, Al. And that can never, you know, there are no thank yous that can ever express all that you have done and meant in so many lives. My favorite Al moment that never happened in front of Al, but I was directing Westland High School, and some school was coming out of the warm-up room at Clackamas Community College, and one of the students said to the director, whoever that was, I can't remember, "How come we're always in Prairie's division? That's not fair." And there was just a part of me that wanted to turn around and say, "Would you work harder then? Would you practice harder then?" And it's all a tribute to Al. And then I had the pleasure of teaching his private students for, oh man, I don't know how many years. And we're going to feature one of those, Mike Shattuck, on a tune that he did I don't know how many times with your band, Al, Ice Castles. So give it up for Mr. Shattuck back there, would you?
I mentioned earlier we have a number of people who couldn't be here tonight, so at this time we're going to ask Brad and his team to cue up the video, and we'll ask you to turn your attention to the monitors.
Thank you all for great times, good memories, for pushing me, making me a better person. Love you. Have a great day.
Hello, Big Al. And hello to everybody. This is Craig Blakesley down in Texas. And wow, I wish I could be with you guys to celebrate Al. Al, I'm sending you this video to say thank you and miss you. I want to tell you personally, thank you so much for the commitment that you had, not just to me in the 4 years at Prairie High School, but to so many others. As you taught and as you coached, you impacted a lot of lives. Al, you greatly impacted me. You inspired me in so many different ways. You challenged me. You taught me to be disciplined. You know, after I left Prairie, I went to state degree. I then went on active duty in the Army for a while, but when I finished, I became a music minister. Pretty incredible. I taught actually a total of 14 years, both elementary and secondary levels. And Al, I think this is significant to tell you. One of those years I was teaching, I was selected Teacher of the Year for my school district. This was over 2,000 teachers in the district. And I know that you had a part to play in that, Al. And I just want to thank you. Thank you so much for what you poured into me and to others. God bless you. I hope you're enjoying this special day. I wish I could be there with you, but have a beautiful Christmas, Merry Christmas, and bye-bye.
Hey, Al. It's Ryan Stevens. Hey, I'm sorry I couldn't be there tonight, but I wanted to send in a video just to thank you for all you've done. This celebration tonight is well-earned and well-deserved. You always challenged me and encouraged me to be the best version of myself that I could be, whether it was in music, school, career, whatever, and I'm forever grateful. You've done so much for this community and for the people in the community. So I hope you have an amazing night and a great celebration.
Hey Al, it's Matt Triplett, class of '89, Eric Sawyer's best friend. I'm sorry I can't be there this weekend, but I wanted to send you a video. When I was 16, I kind of thought you were an a-hole. But by the time I turned 21, I realized I was the a-hole. I learned some very valuable lessons from you. Probably the two most important are: one, don't be an a-hole; two, if you play stupid games, you get stupid prizes. Thank you for all the hard work you've done over the years, for the mentorship you gave me and all the other people that have come through Prairie and other programs you've worked with. Here's to you, big guy.
Hey, Big Al. What a great event that you're being honored with tonight. I do apologize. My family is up in Blaine, Washington. We're having a Christmas gathering with my two sisters and three brothers, their kids, and their kids. It's the first time we've been able to get together since 2019 because of all the stuff that we've all been through with the pandemic and everything. You and I have a long history and relationship, having arrived at Battleground High School in 1972, and what a great ride it has been. There's no one that I admire more and respect more than Al Aldridge, and for what you've been able to accomplish over the years in everything that you touch. Your dedication, your passion, your drive to excellence should be admired and is admired by so many people. If we could gather all the people that you have impacted over the years, from softball, band, basketball, water polo, and any other activities you're in besides your summer programs and all that type of thing, it would fill a high school gymnasium. In fact, we'd have a turn-away crowd. There's no way they can get them all in. Where can you find a person that has won state championships in softball, basketball, and don't forget water polo, and all the awards that you have able to receive in the band. It's countless. You couldn't keep track of them all. You couldn't have a man cave, Al. You'd have to have a man castle to put all those awards in. It reminds me of going down the Rhine River in Europe and Germany and looking at these beautiful castles on the side. And I know some of them are for sale. You might need to look into that so you can display those awards. All the years that you and I played together and against each other in softball, what a blast. It was just a great time. I don't know how you could play so long and play so often with all the activities you had during the summer with your basketball cascading group. Enjoy your evening and all the memories that are going to blast you continually tonight and the next weeks to come, to think about all the things will come back to you that you would have wished you could have said to someone there, but you're just being overwhelmed by how many people that are there. Keep in mind, you wouldn't be where you are if it wasn't for all those people that you worked with. And more importantly, they wouldn't be where they are in life if they hadn't been in contact with you. I want to thank Eric Sawyer and the individuals that helped him put this program together. I wish I could be there. I'm disappointed I can't be there, but I know you're going to have a great time, and all the best, and we'll get together before I take off to Europe again to coach baseball. All right, you take care, and hello, Jeannie. Thanks a lot.
We've got one more chart to play in this first set, and then we're going to take a break, give the band a rest, but give you guys a chance to mob that table where he's at. No, it's. I've kind of told people this is kind of like a wedding, like reception. Like, you know, there's going to be a lot of people that want your attention and want to say hi. So we're going to take like about a 30 to 40 minute break after this chart and give everybody a chance to kind of do what they need to do. Al, if you haven't eaten, there's amazing food over here. There's beverages in the back. Let me know what I can get you. I believe CGM Blues is up next. Take it away, Evan.
Watch me cue the last solo, okay? I'll let you know. 1, 2, 3,
Jason Crow on bass.
Play, Gaiser. Piano, play.
DJ Browning. Tenor. Dan Sabala. Light bands, Dan Sabala.
In case you missed that, one of the band members said, validation, the mother's milk of a musician. The applause. Help yourself to the food, the beverages, mill around. We will have, let's take a quick look here at the time. We're going to get back at it at 5:30, 25-minute break. Take a 25-minute break. right, gonna give you a 5-minute warning. 5-minute warning to start making your way back to your seats. And for the band to go ahead and start heading to the stage. 5-minute warning. All right, let's have you head to your seats. I have a feeling this room could stand around and visit all night. But we got some music to play for you. So if I could get you to head back to your seats, this would be perfect time to start our second set of tunes. As a reminder, after this set of tunes, anybody in the room that wants to take a second to tell Al thanks for anything that he's done for you, you'll have the opportunity to do that. We'll have 2 wandering microphones that'll work their way through the room. So if you want to take a second to give him a big shout out, you'll have the chance to do it at that time. So, a couple more charts. Greg, you ready? Take it away. What's that? Lights. Mark, can we get the lights on the trumpets?
Tell me when.
Stage work lights.
Well, while we're working on the lights, I just want to personally thank you, Al, for motivating me to become a band director. I first heard Prairie High School when I was at Wilson in the 80s, and when I heard you guys, I realized that there was another level that my bands had to get to. But unlike other band directors, I actually love going up against your bands. I want to personally thank you for motivating me. And for all of you that may not know, Al came out to Battleground, I think a couple of weeks ago, before our Skyview Jazz Festival, and the man still has it. And thank you, Al, for being a great friend. And I talked to my former kids from Wilson, and they just loved the rivalry that we had with Battleground. Not Battleground, but Wilson and Prairie. And I've talked to a number of these guys that used to kill me in competitions, and they say the same thing. But thank you for being a great influence on my life, inspiring me, bringing out the best in me. You're the man.
No lights. Just ask them if they can turn these 3 on above the...
There you go.
I can't.
Still no lights. came up a second ago. I tried to stop.
I have a flashlight on my phone.
Sweet.
Yes.
Eric, to the rescue.
Should we go ahead and start?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead and start. All right.
We'll fake it.
Ready? Yeah. A one, a two, a one.
We've got a couple of fun charts up for you here. Claudia's making her way to the stage. There she is over here. We've got a couple vocal charts that we've got queued up and ready to go. And Claudia comes from us. Her bio is really short. It just said she's work release. I don't know what that means. Is that...
Hey, lady.
Claudia comes from us from Alan Tucker, actually. The two of them are a thing. It's official now. There's no turning back. Claudia, have fun with it.
Thank you. What an honor. The Love Boat.
All right. We are going to start things off. I'm Corey McHenry, by the way. I am the band director at Hawkinson High School. And sorry, just real quick, point of personal privilege here, because while I wasn't a student of Al's, I am definitely a student of Al's. When I took over at Hawkinson High School in 2008, Al was working with our first jazz band there. And I can safely say I learned more in 1 year working next to this guy than I did my entire high school, college career, whatever. I was telling somebody earlier that I love the fact that now I can call Al or I can text him, hey, I'm looking for this tune, I'm looking for that tune. He called, in fact, I think Evan said that Al called Evan a couple of nights ago. What was that tune that we played? It was a flugelhorn feature, all that. I love having him as a resource. He comes out to work with bands all the time. The kids love him. I was thinking about how he kind of reminds me of Johnny Carson because when Carson retired, there was a story about how when Carson retired, he would still send jokes to David Letterman, and Letterman would do jokes on his show, and he'd do like the golf swing, and that's how you knew that Johnny Carson was one of Johnny's jokes. And so it's kind of fun to have Al in the background here, kind of feeding me stuff, because he makes me look good. He is the Johnny Carson of the band world, and we are all just trying to be Johnny Carson here. So, anyways. I also remember one of my first years teaching, we were sitting in the back row in this room at the Clark Jazz Festival, and there was a band on stage, and please don't take this the wrong way because it's going to turn into a compliment for you. We were sitting in the back, and there's a band that comes on, and they were pretty good, and then they bring a vocalist out, and Al leans over to me, and he goes, unless you got the second coming of Ella Fitzgerald, you don't bring a vocalist to a jazz festival. And I never have, but she comes pretty darn close. Let me tell you, Claudia, come on back. This is comments only. We are not in competition here. So
Not the right story to tell.
You'll see what I mean. Here we go. She's fantastic. Ready?
King they all care. So what? You may be king, you may possess the world and all its gold, but gold won't bring you happiness when you're growing old. The world still is the same, you're never gonna change it. As long as the stars shine above, you're nobody till somebody loves you. So find yourself somebody. Find yourself somebody. Find yourself all these people who love you. Thank you. Wow. Thank you. Wow. Oh my God. All I can
Claudia,
say
now-
is, Al, where's the alimony check, you bum? Okay, that's it.
We got one more tune featuring the great Claudia Nauer here. This one, I believe we're changing the words on this a little bit, right?
Maybe just a little bit.
Maybe just a little bit. All right. We call it Whatever Lola Wants, but we're changing it just a little bit here. I think you'll pick up on this.
Whatever I want, I'll get. And little ones, little Al wants you. Make up your mind to have no regrets. Recline yourself, resign yourself, you're through. He always get what he aims for, and our hearts and souls is what he came for. Whatever Al wants, Al gets. Take off your coat, don't you know you can win? You're no exception to the rule. You're irresistible, fool. Give in. What he aims for, and our hearts and souls is what he came for. Whatever Al wants, Al gets. Take off your coat, don't you know? He always gets what he came for, and all of our hearts and our souls is what we're here for. Whatever Al wants, he's gonna get. Take off your coats, don't you know you can't win? We're no exception to the rule. You're irresistible. invincible. You fool, give in. Give in. Give in.
All right, band, we can clear the stage for a couple of minutes if you guys want to head, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'm getting some eyeballs at me like I'm saying something crazy. No, we're good. You can clear the stage for a few minutes. And so while they're clearing the stage, we're going to get set up for our next segment. Mr. Aldridge, come with me. He was pre-warned. This is not a secret. I don't need that. Okay. Can I get mic number 2? Test, test, test. There we go. Thank you. All right. I teased this earlier. We're going to bring up a history lesson. So Lynn Keir, come on up. Lynn is the daughter of Newt Keir, who is the man responsible for hiring Big Al at Battleground High School back in 1972. I'll have you come around this way. Yeah.
Hi, Al. Al and I had afros when I was in high school. I have proof with me. So, yes, it's true. My dad, Newt Keir, was the Battleground High School football coach for many years. Ken Story was his quarterback. And then he became, right, Ken? Yes. Yep. Then he became athletic and activities director, and in 1972, he hired Al and Freeman, right? So it was a bit of Al the hippies? Yeah. 14? Yeah, there's 14 years. Carlisle, Bossich, Bradford, everybody. It was growing. Battleground was growing then. But it was a bit of destiny between Dad and Al because my dad loved Stan Kenton and Woody Herman and the Thundering Herd. And also he was a big champion of Title IX way from the beginning. So the two of you guys getting together was meant to be, right? I guess so. Destiny. And my dad really truly believed that every kid deserves a chance to succeed. And so with all of those guys that he hired, they created all these programs, so everybody did have a chance to succeed, but Al's program just took off, and it's my understanding Dad was 100% supportive of everything you did, threw some extra money his way often, right? Mm-hmm. And then came the time where he called in the marker and said, all these festivals you're going to, this time you're going to win or else. Yep. Is that true?
Well, it was true.
And you took him seriously.
We won.
Yeah, and we won. And then the expectation was to pretty much win them all, which you did, for the most part. What was the first one you won? Clark?
CBC.
CBC. That's right.
That was the ultimatum.
Was it? We had lots of money to get everybody over there, right? So it had to pay off. But Al got off to an amazing start, obviously, because that was probably just a year or two into it, right? But the gift of phenom Tommy DeLibrio, who, as a high school student, could play MacArthur Park. So my recollection, probably Tucker's too, is Al bringing his band to Louisville and just blowing our little minds with MacArthur Park. And from then on, it was like, I want to be in that band, you know? So Al, you the same?
Yes.
Yep, there you are. So then suddenly we're doing jazz band tryouts in the 8th grade. So that's when I realized how frightening band can be. You know, suddenly everything got real competitive. But we did make the band, and that's when we learned to show up prepared and stay prepared.
Well, most of them.
Yeah, well, we learned a lot, like, or else, right? But we were always, a little nervous, but we knew the band was formidable. And the other thing that really was explosive and fun was your pep band. And there was a huge poster where the pep band would sit, and it said, Big Al's Boogie Band. Do you remember that? Okay. So the pep band was just a gas. It just really was. I mean, it brought just as many people in as the boys basketball team. I mean, we made it competitive. Iafrati tried, right? But not really. It was fun. It was kind of the battle of the bands. But that's when Battleground kind of knew that Al was going to do his thing, because forever we had the same starting lineup tune. It was like 3 notes, da-da-da, 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 da-da, over and over and over again. So Al had, see, still. So Al hands out Tower of Power, Drop It in the Slot. And that's what we were going to do for the starting lineup for the boys basketball team, and it was hot,
Briefly.
But the community can't clap on 1 and 3 for that, so it got voted off, and we went back to over and over again. But it was fun anyways. But that was when Al started really achieving community buy-in, and that's really what built the program, is everybody. It wasn't just us music students that believed, but the whole community, and really even my friends, from the basketball team. I just spent time with them, and they're like, I never miss Tower of Power, I've never missed Earth, Wind, and Fire, but all of that is from, the music program. I think it influenced everybody in Battleground, not just us. In fact, Dad and Al brought Maynard Ferguson to Battleground High School, and he did a concert in the West Gym.
Culture shock.
Culture shock, and damn, was that loud. Maynard's lips were just flapping all over the place. I remember it cost $5,000, and we thought, oh, that was so much money. But it was sold out, and it was wild, and the whole town was there. And then marching band. We all know how much Al loves to march, right?
Hated it.
So he would hang a right out of the school and march us down past our house and jump on my dad's Vespa and kind of chase the band around, barking orders at us and stuff. But it was fun. And again, with David Douglas, our senior year, we went over, Al was coaching the David Douglas water polo team, amongst all the other things he was doing, and he took the pep band over, to play at the championship game. So it was really loud. Imagine the pep band in the pool. So it was really loud, but do you remember that?
I do.
Okay. So I accidentally dropped my instrument through the bleachers, and it was ping, 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 and I thought, oh, thank God Al's not here. But I quickly looked over at you. Sure enough, you're over there giving me a dirty look anyways. Like all the way across the pool. But anyway, he didn't miss much. But I will say for certain that Al changed my life in a lot of ways. He prepared me to go to Central Washington University and jump into auditions with legendary Professor John Mowat, and it was kind of mini Whiplash. Everybody's seen Whiplash, right? It was a little bit like that, college jazz band tryouts, and I made it. Corliss Stith from Battleground High School and I were the first two girls ever allowed in the Central Washington University first band. But that's because we could handle the heat, you know? So we had a lot of fun, Al. We really did. Basketball too, but that's a whole other story. I played basketball and softball and all your band classes, so we had fun, huh?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, you can stay seated for now. You're good. I'm not going to stand up and hug you. I already hugged you. One hug a day. What's that? Oh, we got two other wandering mics. Lauren's going to grab one, and we'll get to those in just a second here. Yep, go ahead. Yeah, you can grab them now. So, you ready for some questions? Put you on the hot seat.
It's kind of like a memorial where
No.
people stand up and...
Oh, you're still with us. I'm going to lob you, since you're so good at hitting softballs, I'm going to lob you a softball question to start the night. This is going to be super easy. Okay. Name your all-time favorite drummer that you ever taught. Eric Sawyer. Whoa! That was wild. How you answered that quickly, and your voice sounded a little bit like mine. It's weird. No, I remember playing. We had some pretty intense rehearsals, as we've talked about tonight. I remember a lot of intense rehearsals. I remember playing a drum solo one time at an event. It was a charity event. And I had planned to do this just because I was a cocky 17-year-old kid who thought that he could do it. So I stood up in the middle. I stopped playing in the middle of my drum solo, stood up and grabbed my water bottle and took a drink of it and wiped my forehead like I was working really hard. Sat back down and I kept playing. And when I looked up and made eye contact with you, I thought I was going to die. You were not having it. You were not having it. One of my biggest moments. One of my favorite compliment that was very impactful to me that you said. We played the Clark Festival my sophomore year, and we were loading up the gear afterwards, and you said to me, "Hey, how do you think you played tonight?" And I said, I don't know. I think I played okay. And you said, "You played your ass off." And that compliment, because it's not easy to get a compliment, and that compliment stuck with me for the rest of my life. So I remember that like it was yesterday. Yeah. Back to those rehearsals, though. So things did get pretty intense from time to time. And now what a lot of people don't know is that Prairie High School was actually way, way ahead of its time in video technology. And so, like cameras in the classroom today, that's commonplace. That's, you would expect that. But we had cameras back then. I don't know if a lot of you knew that or not. So I think Brad, actually, there was a rehearsal that we had. Brad, do you have the video? We can cue that up. Can you see this video? This is a rehearsal from Prairie. Yep. Yeah. All right, some serious questions. Okay, why did you pick the saxophone to play as a musician way back in the day? Why did you pick the sax?
I think because a cousin was 2 years older than me, played saxophone, and he quit, and he had this Mark VI Selmer alto Paris model from 1950 that was immaculate, and they said they'd give it to me if I'd start playing, so they gave it to me, and I started playing.
That was it. Okay, so that's how you got your first saxophone. Then who inspired you as a musician? Who did you listen to? And Yeah.
In those days, that was a long time ago, it was kind of hard to find mentors in the pop scene, so we kind of looked back to Coltrane and Pete Creasleib and Art Blakely and those kind of players. Way, way distant 40s and 50s players.
If you had had the ability to use the internet today and YouTube like our kids nowadays have to be able to reference some of the great musicians, how much better would you have been as a musician?
Oh, tremendous, because I think the emphasis now is so much on transcriptions and transcribing those professional solos to make them sound like yourself. And like Greg does so well with his band, and you know, I did with mine. It's just the key. Mike Vance started with transcriptions, and if I'd had that opportunity, I think I probably would have been a better player, but I would have never been the likes of most of these kids. Never.
Okay, I referenced 4 decades or so of teaching, 4+ decades of teaching and being in the classroom. And if you count the subbing and stuff like that you've done, there's even more. So on the spot, when you think back, can you think of just a couple of highlights that really stick out for you?
In education, I think that just having consistency from year to year, being able to build a program and have not only a good jazz band, but a good concert band, symphonic band, whatever, and have it perpetuate from year to year and just continue to be successful was probably a big highlight. And the Rose Festival Jazz Contest was always a highlight at the end of every year. I mean, a lot of people in here were playing in those bands, and boy, did we target that competition and did some amazing things there, and won probably 9 out of 10 times against all the best bands around. So that was always a highlight.
You, who was it was talking earlier? Corey, you said you were looking, or you reached out to Evan for a flugelhorn? I reached out to Al. You reached out to Al, and Al reached out. Was it a salute to Elvis Costello? It was not. Okay, because Scott Stewart's here tonight, and Scott Stewart played the flugel at the Rose Festival solo, and we won that tournament that year, that festival that year. Yeah, Scott? What's that? At the Schnitz, exactly. I thought you said something else. Sound. Okay, so earlier I referenced an event in Europe that happened with several of us getting ourselves in some hot water, and I want to go back and revisit that real quick. So to set the stage, so we had these wrist bracelets at the North Sea Jazz Festival, and the wrist bracelets got us into just about everywhere we wanted to go. And one of us, I don't know who, could have been me, had the bright idea to go out and scalp our wrist bracelets for some money because we knew we would be able to get back in. It was no big deal. We were musicians. It was not a big deal. Problem is, it's illegal to scalp tickets and bracelets in Holland. So when we were doing that, we were detained, and we didn't know what was going to happen, and we were pooping ourselves. We'll keep it PG. We were really scared. We were being held for I don't even know, 10, 15 minutes, and we were supposed to go on in about an hour. Next thing we know, the door opens up, Al comes in, we're able to leave, and we know we're in some seriously, seriously hot water. We might have been facing, I need to ask, were we facing the possibility of being put on a plane and flown home?
Yes. And your mom was there, and Steve's mom was there. Scott's mom was there.
So it would have been bad news. So that cues me up perfectly for the video we're going to play right now. Because we went from that, and within an hour we had to be on stage and playing, so he wasn't going to send us to the airport, at least without playing one gig, right? Right?
Yeah, we had Montreux the next day.
So we go on stage that night to play, and in our very first encore song that we were playing, something magical happened. Brad, you want to play the video for me? So this is actual footage. The lights went out. The power went out. No juice. No juice in the hall. drums, horns. We kept playing. We had no electric bass, and we had no microphone on the piano. The video goes on, and the crowd is losing it, chanting, "We want more! We want more!" It was the second encore. You just reminded me, they had their cigarette lighters out in the dark, and yeah.
It was a huge performance auditorium, and our gig started at midnight, and we were playing the 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock show. And the auditorium, we were following the BYU jazz band, and they were just smoking, and the place was absolutely packed. And we came on stage, and like the audience just kind of went, whoosh, and I just sucked all the air out of the room. And I thought, oh my, well, we played one tune, and all of a sudden I turned around and looked, and the room people were just droven back in again. So by the time we got to the encore stuff, the room was just absolutely packed, standing room only. And during this power outage, the European people were going crazy. They couldn't understand a word we were saying in English, but they appreciated what was going on, so they started lighters. And all the people in the closest rows were coming down front behind the barricade, and they were holding lighters out, trying to light our music for us as we were playing and get to shed a little light what was going on. Fortunately, that piece that we were playing was one we'd done a lot during the year. We even did it at a pep band game. So it was comfortable for us, and we just keep going, keep going. And people went crazy.
So it begs the question, did you forgive us after that?
No. To this day.
Well, then I will readily admit to this day that was one of the stupidest things I've ever done in my life. So, yeah, what do you got, Matt?
But the bigger point is, at the end of it, and my parents did get a letter, and they showed it to me 2 years later, and I'm like, whoops. But Al collected all the money, and we weren't sure if that money ever went back, but we do know you drove a lot of Corvettes.
So this was the North Sea Jazz Festival, one of the biggest events in Europe, and the passes that we had as players, performers, allowed us to get into the social area where all the professional musicians were. So, there was just a room full of alcohol, full of all kinds of food, really good food, and you could be sitting like this with B.B. King, and sitting over here with you name the big name guys that were all in this festival. And so these passes that the kids had allowed them to go into the performers area and be a part of all this. So naturally, I'm a little nervous about the alcohol stuff, but So I'm kind of floating around watching, and it's kind of neat to be there to see these pro musicians, the biggest names in the world there. And then you got Oscar Peterson's autograph there? Okay. So yeah, it was quite a big deal to them to blow those wristbands with the public.
We get it. We get it. Jeez, you don't have to belabor the point. It's uncomfortable for me now up here. It's supposed to be you on the hot seat, not me.
The police came to me out front and said, you have some bad boys.
Sarah, you married a bad boy.
They told me that was extremely illegal in Europe to do that, and they could go to jail for that. Oh, no.
Moving on. So as we were preparing for this event, one of the conversations I would have with people when they would ask me the motivation behind it, I mentioned it, referenced it earlier, was I think everybody has their own personal Mount Rushmore of influencers, mentors, coaches, teachers. It could be coming from all kinds of places, but when you build your own personal Mount Rushmore of people who have influenced you, you look at that and you think, man, I would be a different person if not for these people. And first on my Mount Rushmore is my mom. So my mom's right here. She's first on my Mount Rushmore. And then I've got you and I've got Dawn Freeman, both of you on my Mount Rushmores for what you guys have done for me and meant for me. So for you, if you were to build a Mount Rushmore of influencers, mentors, who influenced you?
Brad Smith.
So I met him while we were on the break. Go ahead, tell everybody who he is. It's amazing.
Brad Smith is was the former girls basketball coach at Oregon City High School. Won 9-10 Oregon State 6A championships. Won national championships with his high school team. Was National Coach of the Year, National Coaches Association Hall of Fame. On and on and on. Just a wonderful human being and a great friend, and my mentor.
Stand up real quick. Stand up and give him, thank you. Thank you.
In my life, people have said stand up.
I get it. Okay, audience, it's your turn. So I've got two roving microphones. Alan Tucker has one of them, and Lauren Wogemuth has the other one. If you'd like to say something, just give, and then I'll hand him mine. Just give a quick raise of your hand. And Alan, you want to start us off, or is Lauren starting us off?
I want to start, for one thing. This whole night could not have been possible without this young man up here, Eric Sawyer. This started off, 6-8 months ago, and then I got word that he was going to get a hold of me, and he got a hold of me. And when he told me what he was trying to do, I thought, you're freaking crazy. It was a great idea, but man, the stuff he was taking on. And what are we doing next Tuesday? Do we have a Zoom call, by the way? Oh, so. Anybody want? I'm just going to create a mic. Go ahead, Lauren.
I'll prime the pump here. Okay, I'll prime the pump a little bit. My name is Lauren. I was a freshman the day Prairie High School opened. So those of you that were there that day will remember our first gatherings of school was in the small gym, no bleachers, and we sat on the floor. And we went into the classrooms. Some of them had desks, some had chairs, some had nothing. We went into the band room, stocked. Chairs, stands, all those practice pianos, that Fender Rhodes. I had a big Sun amp that had two 18-inch speakers. Ridiculous for a jazz band. But I was wide-eyed. I was 14 years old. I knew from middle school at Pleasant Valley that I was going to play for him. It was a dream. We grew up that way. So it's a little practice here, audience participation. Please stand up if you played for Glenn Hansen.
if you played for Jim Deachman, you're going to see the pipeline. If you played for Al, if Dale Beacock ever showed up in our band room, if you played for Larry McVeigh, if you went on and played for Coach at Central, that's our personal pipeline. So Pleasant Valley opened when I was in 6th grade. Al's band at Battleground, we knew we got to play for Al. You got to play for Al. And Jim Deachman encouraged that. He took the kids he knew that were going to be motivated enough to play for Al, and he coached us up, and he loved us. And when we got to Al, we knew he loved us, but God dang it, if he gave you that eyeball. So all of that prepares me when I show up my freshman year at Central to audition for John Mowat. And I'm one of 4 or 5 bass players. And he's told me already what the audition's going to be like. Yeah, I can do it. I'm doing it. Cocky. Go. I've never played an acoustic bass in my life. That's the first day. I called Al the next day. I said, I don't know. I can't do it. I can't do it. He said, of course you can do it. You're there. Always. You're there. You're there. You can do it. So, I'll lighten things up a little bit. There are 2 incidents that he might not be proud of, but they're funny. They're really funny. One is a personal inspiration to me. He heard me say something to my mother, 4'11", Spitfire, and he waited probably an hour and pulled me aside, and he said, if you ever talk to your mother that way again, you'll never play in my band. That was the first one. The second one was, if you ever rush again, I'll break that bass over your back. So the third one, memories escape us. We don't know who was involved. Might have been fall of 81, might have been fall of 82. We're not quite sure. Before a concert at Prairie, some of our trumpet section may or may not have locked themselves in a practice room behind the band room. Maybe 20 minutes before the show. This is the winter concert. Freshman band, concert band, wind ensemble, jazz band. Fire department had to be called to get the gentleman out of the practice room. There may or may not have been a music stand thrown. But we knew he loved us. We knew he loved us. And that Rose Festival that we lost, I think it was the only one you ever lost. We played Stars and Stripes Forever. We had a piccolo player come with us, blew the place apart. It was at the Civic Auditorium. Standing ovation, we go off, we think this is it, we've done it, we did it. And some band from Minnesota got announced as the winner, and the crowd went crazy. I mean, honest to God, boos at a high school jazz festival. Never heard it before. I've never seen him so despondent. He walked this, you guys won it, you guys won it. So personally speaking, I didn't mean to go on this long. This man directed my life in a path that led me to success. Where I thought I was deficient, he patted you on the back with a swift kick in your butt. And that set me up for knowing that anything that was here that I didn't think I could get to, I just had to grab it. Thank you. Anybody else? We'll come to you.
That's, Lauren, that's because we broke him in at Battleground.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So,
I saw PJ stand up. Where's Paul at?
So yes, and some of Al's motivational techniques, I'm just going to go on a little bit here now. One thing I used to do, Lynn, you remember this, the first year, coming to this exact place right here, except totally redesigned, Clark College Jazz Festival, the weekend, or coming into the weekend before we were coming here, Al blows up. I'm a freshman. I'm just sitting there playing second tenor, and you guys don't deserve to go. You've not worked hard enough, blah, 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 blah. And he storms out of the room. And I'm sitting there going, oh. And we didn't do too bad at the Clark College Jazz Festival. I thought, oh, wow, okay. So the second year comes up, and same blow up. You guys don't deserve to go, blah, 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 blah. Out the door he goes. We took sweepstakes that year. So junior year, I'm sitting there, I'm going, I wonder, is he going to do that? Yep, there it is. I think we won first that year. We didn't do sweepstakes, but we won. Fourth year, and this is where I have to apologize up front. I know I've apologized to you about this before. I got a little cocky. Al does his blow up, storms out of the room, and I says, we don't have time for this stuff. Letter L, 1, 2, 3, 4. The look as he turned around burned a hole right through me. I was like, I'm dead. But Al did some great things with me as well. So I left Battleground, went to Mount Hood Community College, and he used to get charts from John Ward, right? I think, but full scores. So he got a hold of me because I had been trying to do some manuscript stuff, and he says, "Here, I'll pay you something or other a page to turn these into parts." I got to apologize now to some of you prairie people who had to try to read my alcohol-induced chicken scratch, but that was something he did to help me get a little bit of probably beer money at that time, but you didn't know that. Another thing he did is he always, what was that?
You were in college.
Yeah. Well, not quite of age though. So, and this, I can't believe I'm telling this story. But most of the pictures have been destroyed, so they don't exist. Al supporting his students, current and former. I have 2 daughters. One of them studied dance since she was like 4 years old, and she got into Washington State Ballet, and they did an annual production of The Nutcracker. So somewhere along that process, I got asked to play a cast part in The Nutcracker, which you do. As a dad, it's like, come on, okay, fine, I'll be on stage. I'm not going to tell you yet what the part was. So we're doing 2 shows. We've done the first show. There's a break. I walk out into the foyer. Here's Al. Oh, crud, what's he doing here? Al, how you doing? Good. What are you doing here? Here to see a former student of his who was doing the Snow Queen dance or something. And I said, well, you're going to get to see 2 former students tonight. See you later. And I walked away. This is a part I can't believe I'm telling you. It's only the second time in my life I've ever worn a dress. The first time I got paid really, really well for it. This one I did because it was my daughters forced me to do it. I did the part of Mother G in Nutcracker. And you're wearing this like 10-foot flippin' hoop dress. You've got 6 little tiny girls hidden underneath your dress. And you come out with these big army boots on, and you're doing a dance, and all of a sudden you lift the little skirt up, and 2 little girls run out. Well, I come out on stage, and I knew immediately where Al was sitting. I heard this laugh come out of that side of the audience. I was like, oh crap, he's gonna know it's me. And I come walking out there, and he just boom, this laughter. To the point where everybody else turned and went, what's that guy laughing at? But thank you. Okay. Let's open it up for some statements, questions.
Hey, Al. So first of all, I've got a question for you because we were doing this song that actually is in our books right now called Nice and Easy, probably in 1981 or 1982. And Al looked at me and he said, hey, you sing. Why don't you sing this chart and no guitar, and then you can sing it, you can turn around, you can grab your guitar, you can play a little solo, and then set it down and we'll finish up. It'll be really cool. And I said, oh, wow. Okay, I'll give that a shot. So we rehearsed it once or twice. And and there was an earlier comment he made toward me that was really complimentary because I didn't sing in choir or anything. Someone else in the band said, Paul, you sing? And Al pointed to me and said, he's got one of the best voices in the school. This is pertinent to the end of the story. And so none of us, I've talked to Mike and I've talked to Al Tucker and someone else I spoke with, Lauren. None of us know how this happened, but the night of the concert, Al's up there and Al is singing Nice and Easy, and I don't know how I got, anyway, it just boom. So I got jilted somehow, Al, so who knows how that happened. Do you remember that? I was going to sing it, but Al ended up just taking it over. Yeah, and Al sang it. Yep. So he did a great job. He did a great job.
Yeah.
But I was talking to him earlier about how my dad's work schedule, and jazz band schedule didn't coincide. And my dad gave me a ride down the hill, and Al would swing by in his Celica and pick me up and take me to jazz band at 6:30 in the morning, day after day after day after day. And at the time, I was like, I gotta go to jazz band, gotta meet Al. This is okay. Here we go. And now looking back, I see all the dedication that he gave to me personally to pick me up. I was the only kid in the car, and we'd drive and we'd talk, and so many things. I remember auditioning, I think it was on Groovin' Hard in 9th grade at Battleground High School. And I was scared to death, and I'd never played jazz before. I didn't own an electric guitar. I auditioned on an acoustic guitar, and he told me what kind of guitar to get. And I went home and I told my parents, he said he can teach me how to play this stuff. And you did a lot of that and hooked me up with Max Reese. And so then I've had a 35-year career teaching music, so thank you, Al.
So it's interesting because we spanned the group from Alan to Lauren. I mean, that's kind of the group we did. The adjectives that describe Al are kind of consistent. It's amazing, competitive, inspiring, driven, but creative and funny as well. I mean, he had a really good sense of humor. And there's a story. So Charlie Dunn and Scott Brabeck started with me in concert band. As an aside on the creative front, I remember, Al, you pulling me out of my freshman biology class and convincing Mr. Schaefer to let me out 2 days a week to go to a jazz band. Do you remember that? I don't know how you did that, but here I'm a freshman. I went 3 days a week to biology and 2 days a week to jazz band.
He was my fishing partner.
Is that right? So I don't know if I should sell this story, but I have to because these guys prompted me to. So we were all trumpets. I was a lousy trumpet player, I should add. But we all sat in the back as we did, and we had Al for first period, freshman band. So we were kind of like the back of the bus. We were always talking and kibitzing. I don't know if I should name names, but there was one guy who was kind of the smart aleck of the bunch. Always had something to say, right in the middle of Al's announcements, everything else, right? Always mouthing off. So one morning, we're sitting there, and I turned to these guys and I say, there's no way Al's brother did that. Scott's like, oh yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Charles like, swear, he did. I'm like, no, he didn't. So this guy, whose name was Andy, goes, what did he do? What are you talking about? I said, these guys said that Al's brother ran the 100-yard dash in 9.8 seconds. Do you remember this, Al? Do you remember this? In the Olympics. And Andy's like, there's no way. Now picture Al sitting in this director's chair in the front of the band room reading announcements, right? Andy's like, Al. I can't do imitations, but Al's like, Andy goes, hey, is it true that your brother ran the 100-yard dash in 9.8 seconds? And Al has his stare, and we all know the stare, right? It just cuts through glass. He takes the announcements and he curls them up in a ball and he hurls them across the room and it goes in the wastebasket, right? This is Battleground, if you can picture the band room. He looks at Andy and he stands up. You know damn well my brother lost both his legs in the war. The room goes quiet. And we laughed for like 5 seconds before we just burst out into laughter. Because, of course, it was Al's idea. He set the whole thing out. So thanks, Al.
I got a short little one here. It was junior year, Battleground. You asked me and some other gal to go over to Louisville and judge some of their kids in the band. So we went over there, and scale of 1, 2, or 3, lousy, good, and great. And the gal that I was judging with, she gave all 2s, mostly 3s. I gave like 1s, maybe a 2. One of the kids was crying because what I came back, and Al says, Scott, you got to be an encourager. You can't be giving them 1s. You don't do that. You got to lift them up, encourage them, say they did great, that kind of thing. So thank you. It taught me a lesson. I still remember it today to do that.
So, just a quick one here. And first of all, thank you for everything. I think the biggest reflection on Al is the talent on the stage. So, hands to everybody. It's just, yeah. So, you weren't here last night, but we came in last night. I was actually brought into this like 2 weeks ago, and I hadn't played jazz in like 30 years. Listen to it sometimes, love it, but I was, stuck in like rock bands, pop bands through all my military career, and we got little groups. And so I was like, hey, Eric, man, are the songs picked, because you got a whole ensemble, but there's a couple drummers. And he said, sure, pick one. So I picked Groovin' Hard, and then went upstairs to try it out, and I'm like, oh, man, I got 2 weeks. So that was pretty crazy, but thanks for the invite. I will say, and a lot of people can relate to this, and mine, it's such a small scale, but leaving Prairie, I actually, before I went to the Air Force Academy, I went to New Mexico Military Institute for a year, and I was done with marching band, just done. I think you can relate. But jazz band, they had one. I was like, oh, you got jazz band? I'd love to do that. And so I, got a hold of the instructor, and they said, well, to be in jazz band, you have to be a marching band. And I was like, that's unfortunate because I'm not doing that. And so I sent in some of our tapes from our concerts. And they called back the next day, and they're like, we'll make an exception. You're in. So, awesome. And it set, I think, for me and for everyone in this room, set us up for just a lifetime of music love. So thank you.
Okay, so I'm Matt's mom. I have a different story. I think my daughter and my son would both say I was a helicopter mom before the term became helicopter mom. And the biggest thing that can illustrate this is that when Matthew was a baby, I started him in swimming lessons, and he swam for Vancouver Swim Club clear through until he got to high school, and Prairie had no swim club, no swim team. So he swam for Hudson's Bay. So he spent extra time getting up early to go to swim practice and then jazz practice, And he made the state team for Hudson's Bay. But there was a conflict that weekend, and it was a jazz festival. And I was upset. And I was going to go to Al and say, it's just one festival. Can't you make an exception? And Matthew says, Mom, back off. I'll handle it. And he went to the festival. And that was his dedication.
I really appreciate, Al, that you saw something in me that I did not see in myself. We live in a day and age right now that, like, in terms of competition, the trend is to be like super cocky and arrogant, and it's so disgusting to me. I'm the very best at this, and I'll get this. I hate that, and it's just opposite of how I'm wired. I would go and hear my older brothers play, and I was just blown away. But Al saw something in me and challenged me that I did not see in myself, and he. As a freshman, he put me on lead tenor. I was not thrilled about that. I'd never played tenor. I played alto. And the music, like when you have a solo, there were only slash marks, and it seemed like Russian written above it. They were called jazz chords. Didn't know what they were. And I don't want to embarrass myself, and I certainly don't want to, embarrass him. So I start cheating, and I find recordings of, Dexter Gordon playing it or whatever. And then all of a sudden I start winning these awards, and then I feel guilty. And so, like with my private teacher, I don't know if Don Nelson is here, but like confessing to a priest, I was like, I cheated, you know? And then he convinced me that that's not cheating, that that's actually how you learn. So, thank heavens you're not my priest, so. But second, who in their right mind would volunteer to take a high school group to Europe? I mean, just imagine that, like, congratulations, you get to take a high school group, 2 or 3 weeks to Europe. Does that evoke a negative or a positive? Like, oh, but we went to Reno, which, by the way, that's huge, to be able to go to Reno. And they said, congratulations, you won the sweepstakes, whatever it was. You're invited to go to the Montreux Jazz Festival and the North Sea Jazz Festival. We all thought that that was like an honorary award. Oh, thank you. It's like almost like, congratulations, you get to go to the moon. Okay, wonderful. But we had 6 or 8 weeks, and he took it seriously and started fundraising, getting sponsors. And next thing we know, we're in Europe. I loved it, and I appreciated it at the time, but it wasn't until after I left Prairie. And every other high school where I lived, like, their big thing of it, like, they're going to play at the, the county fair. Ooh, I didn't mention what we'd done. So I can't thank you enough for being crazy enough to take us places. Anyway, thank you.
So I was in the class of '94, and I think I have the distinction of being the worst second-chair trumpet player Al ever had because I could never improvise. That's what I would give myself. But my name's Evan Ellis, and this is just so fantastic. And it's neat to see the guys from the group just ahead of us. Mike Vance and Clay and Eric Sawyer, these guys, I talked to Eric on the phone a few times because Al would remind us, I've got some bandmates here from the early 90s, many times that we weren't as good as the group before, because I think you went 3 or 4 years without losing. And Al would remind us many times, I had a run there where we never lost, and we did lose a few for Al. So we kind of dropped it down a little bit, but we had fun. We did win 92 at the Schnitz, though. We did take the Schnitz in 92. But Al, so much of what you've done for me, and I'm a journalist in Eastern Washington in a small town, and I'm on a radio station, and every morning, everything I do is in front of the public, every day, as I show the public what I'm doing and trying to provide them the news of the day. And what drives me to do it as best I can, so I don't embarrass myself publicly every single day, is Al Aldridge telling us that we're going to do the best you can, and you're going to excel to the best of your ability. And every day I put my work on the line, and the drive to do that the best way I can is because of Al Aldridge. God bless you. Thank you, Al.
I hate to be that guy, but I'm looking at a clock that is staring me in the face, telling me we are well behind schedule, and I know that we are running a little long.
Eric,
so
can I do one more?
I was gonna say, let's do one more.
Yes.
And then what we'll do is, when we're done, we don't have to hurry up and clear out. That will give you a chance to be able to chat with Al a little bit more. And I have mentioned this for anybody that's interested to rally over to Beaches. We're gonna take a group of people over there and try to overwhelm them. So if there's any Beaches people here still, you've been duly warned. No, I'm just kidding. They know. So, Vanessa.
Yes, and I have to say that thank you for letting me say this, and I wanted to say to Evan that you shouldn't feel bad about being on the jazz band that didn't win everything, because I was on Al's basketball team that we didn't win and we didn't go to state, and actually I blame that maybe on the fact that I actually did the thing where you got the benches out and you pulled them open for the team when they came out. I didn't even play really. I just was a bench getter-outer. So, but I did play basketball for Al, and I played in the jazz band for my freshman year. I watched Mike Vance when I was in junior high at Pleasant Valley with Jim Deachman. I watched Mike, and I saw Mike play, and I went, oh my gosh, I have to figure out what I'm going to do to get there. And I ended up taking lessons with Don Nelson, and because Mike took lessons with Don Nelson, and I just wanted to be a part of that band. And once I got to Prairie, I played in every band that he had. I did the piano class, I did theory class, I was in the band room for 4 or 5 hours a day, and I played basketball, which extended my day out for 3 hours after school, plus the hour before school for jazz band. But the one thing that I remember the most about Al is that he never asked any one of us to put in any more time than what he was going to. if you think about it, he never, ever asked us to do anything more than what he would do. And that's what stuck with me, is that if I'm going to stand up and do anything, I have to put in the time, and I have to show everybody that I'm willing to. So thank you, Al.
Okay, we have a very special treat for you. We didn't know if we were going to be able to do this or not, and we have found out that we are going to be able to do this, because one of Al's all-time favorite songs is a song called A Sound Sketch, and it features our friend Michael Vance on tenor. And it's one of, if not your favorite. I know we've talked about it on several occasions. And when we had our first intermission tonight, I asked Al, would you be willing to direct it? And he said yes. So let's get the band back up on stage and get set up, and we are going to play a couple more charts for you, and then we will get you guys on your way. Thanks for staying with us through all of this. It has been a blast. You ready? Sound sketch is up. I will say... Yeah. Not a lot of room to navigate. Yeah. Watch that cord wrapped around your ankle. Do not fall. If you fall, I'm blaming somebody else. Yeah, don't go backwards.
Bones, can you come back at all? We're hard up against the stage. Okay.
welcome in.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Anytime.
We've got, I think, 2 more charts for you. The over-under on number of times I cried tonight was 2, so there's 1. We got 3 more charts? Okay. Oh, that's right, that's right. We got...
One of them's really fast.
One of them's fast. Okay. So, real quick, remember our homework assignment that we had before our guest arrived? This is that chart. You'll know.
Trumpets loose.
Yeah, right. You guys ready? Is that good?
Too many notes going by too fast.
Lots of notes played fast.
Thanks for reminding me.
Ready? Yep. All right. Yeah, ready? 1, 2, 3.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be our last chart, last song of the night. Thank you for hanging in there. This has been an absolutely amazing, wonderful night. As soon as we're done, we're going to give Al a chance to say a couple words, and we'll get you on your way. So, Mr. Greg McKelvey and the band, the the Battleground High School District All-Stars. I just made that up. I don't know if that has a ring or not. Because yeah.
We got everybody?
A 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3.
All right, don't leave just yet. We have one big special announcement to pass along, and it's a doozy. So hang tight for just a split second. We'll get you on your way, I promise. First of all, really quick, last night we had our rehearsal. We rehearsed as a band one time. It was last night, right here. And we conceptually, like we talked about, this idea of this thing coming together, these musicians are just absolutely amazing. And just a fantastic group of musicians. Unbelievable. But even still, you get one rehearsal and you don't know if it's going to work or not. Halfway through the first chart, I was standing in the back of the room going, oh my goodness. And it was everybody was looking around at each other going, this is so good. And so it was just amazing. Okay, so Here you go, real quick. So I got to say thanks to our sponsors once again, real quick. Columbia Credit Union in particular for stepping up big. Julie Bocanegra is still here from Columbia Credit Union. Julie, thank you. Julie is a Columbia Credit Union employee, former basketball player of Al's, and softball. That's right. Yep. So thank you, Julie, for being here. Appreciate having you. And then also thanks to our other sponsors and generous sponsors as well. AVEC, Melissa Brewer Photography, good luck with the knee recovery, Waste Connections, Orion Industries, Beaches, Versa Events, and Clark College. Again, you can't do these things without the generosity of people. And again, all of our anonymous donors in the room. You know who you are. Thank you. Okay, so speaking of Columbia Credit Union, I'm going to give credit where credit's due. Colleen Boscia is one of their executives at Columbia, and I'm on the board of directors for Columbia Credit Union, and I was having a conversation with her, and I was telling her about this event, and I said I would love it if Columbia Credit Union would step up and help us out. So that started an ongoing conversation. She came back to me and she said, you know, Eric, we really, really love the concept, but we'd like it a lot more if somehow there could be something that could go on and live sort of into the future. Like this one-time thing is cool, but what if you could do something different? And I said, Colleen, what are you thinking of? And she goes, I don't know, like, what if you did a scholarship or something? So we're announcing tonight the very first Excellence in Music Al Aldridge Scholarship that will be awarded. It'll be awarded this spring. You and I are going to have some conversations, my friend, because you're going to help be the architect of your own scholarship. So you're going to have a part in what that's going to look like. I would mention that there is a bass player that played with us tonight from Battleground High School who's a senior who's going to go on and pursue music. Not planting any seeds, but he's pretty good. So just wanted to mention that. So yeah, we're pretty excited about that. This first scholarship out of the gate, right now we're sitting on around $3,000, and that $3,000 is 100% from former students and musicians. So this first one is funded by us. In your name.
Well, I'm completely overwhelmed. Would like to say thank you so very, very much for this. To my wife for keeping this an absolute complete secret and making me really angry. It actually goes a little bit further. I was scheduled for a rather important surgery last Wednesday, and it was scheduled. I was in the Hillsborough Gaiser Hospital, all set up, and she heard me talking on the phone to the scheduler, and I got off the phone. She goes, "You can't do that." And I said, "Why? What do you mean I can't do that?" And I said, it's part of my treatment. It's important." And she goes, "This is bigger. Trust me, this is bigger. And I can't tell you any more than that, but you're just going to have to trust me on this." So I've been like hating for a week, you know. Sorry, but I mean, even walking in here tonight, I'm just going, this is the most stupid idea I've ever heard in my life. Her friend Jackie is a nurse, and she said, the nurse group that she's working with is doing some community service deal here tonight, and you get your finger pricked and to see if you're COVID capable or if you have enough immune system to keep COVID from getting in your body. And then we're going out to dinner to celebrate my friend Ken's birthday, and so that's how this went. So I had absolutely no idea this was taking place. So, Eric, I'm overwhelmed, man. What a tremendous thing you've done here, and I'm greatly appreciative. And this band, holy cow, would I love to pocket this band. My goodness. Woo! Smoking, guys, smoking. I would like to thank some really important people in this room that probably go unnoticed. There were private student teachers here in this area that work with my students for my whole career. And I credit a lot of my success to the work that those teachers did with students in my organization. Evan Irwin, where's Evan? Is he still here? Evan was here leading the band when I first came in today. Evan has taught trumpet students of mine for as long as I can remember. I mean, all the gifted players that I had studied with Evan. Kelly Pierce over here has been a great friend and a tremendous teacher to my drum students, again, for as long as I can remember. He's been coming into my band and working with our private students, working with my drummers every year to just build the right framework for what they need to do to be jazz players, and just did awesome. Don Nelson sitting back here in the room. Don, stand up. Don's my current fishing buddy, but he's also been responsible for all my saxophone students. He taught Mike Vance for I think 3 or 4 of his career years, and all the great saxophone, clarinet, flute students that I had the privilege of coaching at Prairie High School were the result of Don Nelson's work. So I got the credit, but those guys behind the scenes were the ones doing all the work, and I'm extremely grateful for the loyalty, not only just the professionalism of getting paid to teach students, but the loyalty to me to take my students over other teachers' students and just continue them to grow and grow and grow and help foster what's been a really successful program at Prairie, and I'm forever grateful. Greg McKelvey, thank you, Greg, for doing this. We used to be bitter competitors, not bitter, but we were fierce competitors back in the day, and he's being a little humble. His Wilson band kicked our butts a few times, and we got him a few times. It was kind of pretty even, but Greg's come on and been a good friend for a number of years too, and so I'm grateful for him. And it just warms my heart to see so many former students in such positive positions in life and still playing their horns and doing fantastic music. You know, we've got players here from all over the country. I don't know if you caught that when Eric was talking, but I think there's players here from the Midwest, from the East Coast. There might be some from the Middle East, I don't know. I think your bald head guy there with the lead on the piano, it might be an Arab, I don't know. But anyway, I am very, very humbled and very grateful to all of you for coming and spending your evening here, and I'm forever grateful, Eric. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. What a magical night. If you've got to go home, we understand it, but if you want to continue on, Beaches is the place. We're going to try to rally over there with some folks and grab some food and beverages and whatnot. So, Al, hopefully you guys are up for it. We got a nod, yes. Okay, there you go. Oh, yeah, band, all of the band and Al. We got to grab a picture up on stage. Thank you for reminding me of that.